I'm Sandy Maxx, host of the Arts Page, our monthly local look at the arts. And 2018 marks the 10th anniversary of the Harley-Davidson Museum and the 115th anniversary of Harley-Davidson. So we are stepping inside Milwaukee's Harley-Davidson Museum to celebrate the creativity, craftsmanship, and quality behind this legendary line that has become a part of so many people's lives.
People get a connection to Harley-Davidson that goes beyond just the tangible. Of course, these are motorcycles, they're transportation vehicles, but there's something that goes a lot further beyond just the use of the vehicle. My name is Kristen Jones, and I'm the Senior Curator for the Harley-Davidson Museum. The museum came together in 2008, that's when we opened our doors to the public, but the idea for the museum has been around for much longer than that. The collection of the Harley-Davidson Archives has been around since the 19-teens, and we have an extensive collection that ranges from the earliest days of the motor company, from 1903, to the present time. There's so much here for people to enjoy. Some of my particular favorites are the earliest catalogs, some of the galleries that talk about the founding of the company with serial number 1, the oldest known Harley-Davidson. We have a lot of things that also talk about the culture of riding and the cultural history of riding. Some of my personal favorites are the club uniform jerseys. We also have a lot of different personal stories that we tell in the museum, things about different riders. For instance, a young woman who in 1929 took a solo trip from Georgia to Milwaukee and back. Her name was Vivian Bales, and we have a lot of materials that talk about her story and her personal experience being a young woman on the road alone. We do a limited edition motorcycle for each anniversary, and it's a very special piece, highly collectible, and we gave people a glimpse into the design and engineering of that product. There's a real cultural significance to Harley-Davidson, as most of us know, and a lot of that comes from the ideas of personal freedom, the idea of being out on the road, the idea of camaraderie. All of those things are kind of enveloped within our machines. But personalization is also a big deal for Harley-Davidson, and that's something I think that resonates with people. We have motorcycles that are highly personalized here, and they range from people who've added just a few things to things that are really rolling sculpture. One of my favorites is the King Kong motorcycle, and this is a double-engine knucklehead vehicle that really is unlike anything I've ever seen before. It's something that was done by a gentleman out in Pennsylvania. He was a real folk artist and created this vehicle to ride it in parades. There are a lot of classic motorcycles here that were used by different personalities. In fact, we have a replica piece from Evel Knievel. Some of the other more familiar bikes that people will see is Captain America from Easy Rider. When someone comes to the museum, they can take their own path. They can really decide what they want to see and when. We have, of course, a chronological display of all the motorcycles, but we also have historical galleries that really put Harley-Davidson in the big picture context of what's happening in American culture at the time. Some of the things that they definitely shouldn't miss, of course, are the Tsunami motorcycle, which has a wonderful, poignant story. This is a bike that floated across the ocean, and a year and 1 month after the tsunami struck in Japan, it was found on an island off of the coast of British Columbia. And there's a lot of emotion wrapped up in that piece. Something else that's not to miss, for sure, is our board track display. Now, these bikes were run on wooden tracks that had 45-degree steep banked angles. People didn't have brakes, they were slick with oil, and you can hit up to 100 miles an hour on the straightaways. So, as you can imagine, a very harrowing experience. Harley-Davidson is one of those holdouts of our industrial heritage here in Milwaukee. A lot of these companies have come and gone, but we've really kind of stood the test of time. And it's something that I know a lot of people in the community are proud of to have here. Milwaukee played a central role in the growth and development of Harley-Davidson. I don't think the founders would have been able to do what they did if they hadn't been in Milwaukee. In fact, in the early part of the 20th century, Milwaukee was known as the machine shop of the world. Now, the founders were working in a very small shed behind the Davidson family home. It was only 10 feet by 15 feet. But they had all of the resources that they needed, machine shops, tanneries, etc., right in their own neighborhood. So that really helped to facilitate what they were doing. Harley-Davidson, of course, stretches far beyond Milwaukee and has become a worldwide phenomenon. In fact, Harley-Davidson was in about 67 countries around the world by 1920. So we really spread our wings outside of the Midwestern United States very early on. And it's not just the fact that these bikes were sold, but the fact that people recognized the brand. People knew that there was something special about the brand, something that went beyond the tangible. The museum is really where all of the history is held. It's the spiritual home of Harley-Davidson. And it's something that's not to miss. There's so much to see here. People can participate. In fact, one of the most popular exhibits here is a sit-on gallery, what we call the experience gallery, where people can throw a leg over a motorcycle, people who maybe have never even had the opportunity to do so. One thing I would want people to experience upon coming here is that it's not just about the motorcycle. There's so much to see here. There's so much that resonates with people, from art history to graphic design to the history of technology. It's more than just a machine.
See more from the arts page on MilwaukeePBS.org.